involves selecting lines of marines, either horizontal or vertical lines, and moving those lines to the direction your mouse is moving. For example, if you select a line from left to right, you then move that line to the right. Conversely, if you select a line from right to left, you then move that line of marines to the right. By doing so, you can easily split the marines. Now I'll show you vertical line splitting. It's basically the same, but instead of left to right, it's from up to down. So here's up down, down up, up down, down up, up down. And doing that by itself doesn't split them up too well, but if you can combine left right and down up line splitting, then you can actually get a fairly decent split. It doesn't matter exactly which lines you decide to split, but if you alternate horizontal and vertical lines, then you'll end up splitting them fairly well. I'll just show you an example. Up, down, left, right, down, up. And by simply selecting lines of marines and moving them from one side to the other, you can create a very simple spread. Here's what it looks like if it's done quickly. The other technique you'll be using in marine splitting is box splitting. Instead of selecting lines of marines and moving them from one side to the other, you instead create boxes of marines and move them, such as like this. It's not as precise as line splitting, which is why I prefer to emphasize learning line splitting first. But box splitting and line splitting combined can provide a very efficient manner of splitting. Here's an example of using box splitting to start spreading out the marines, followed by line splitting to complete the spread. As you see, the box splitting allows them to get a good initial spread. And then after that you can use line splitting to finish off the spread. Now let's see how to use these in practice. Here is the map marine split challenge, where basically you're given 30 marines and you get a bunch of banelings running at you from one of 4 directions. Now I'm not going to take into consideration which direction the banelings are coming from. I'm just going to show you how simple line splitting can create an effective marine split, which will be enough to get through the first few levels of this game. First you want to enable stim by typing stim. That allows your marines to stim up, so the first thing you do is select all your marines in stim. Once you select them all in stim, you can then do a simple combination of, say, left to right followed by up to down. If you just repeat left to right and then up to down, you can get a decent split. That's all I'm doing, just selecting left to right followed by up to down. It doesn't matter which shape of marines there are. As you'll see, you can get quite far just using this simple technique. Try out different combinations of directions to get more efficient splits. In this one I'm basically going up and down a few times, then left to right and right to left a few times. takes quite a lot of practice to get to this stage, but just start off slowly with decisive, swift moves. Then just to do the line splitting, but while the Marines are running in a particular direction. I normally prefer to run them to the right, but you can run them whichever direction you want first. So I start running to the right, and then I grab a bit to the left like this. That's the first stage. And then once I grab a bit to the left, I then make another line going up and down through a bunch of them. So it's run them to the right, grab a bit to the left, then do some up and down lines. And after that you can do some left and right lines to make an even better split. If you master this technique, you'll be able to get up to around level 25 using just this technique. This is what it looks like when you combine box splitting and line splitting. The way to split Marines quickly is to always move the Marines in the direction you've selected them. For example, if you select them from left to right, you want to move the Marines to the right. And if you select them from right to left, you want to move the Marines to the left. This gives you the shortest distance of mouse travel and allows you to repeat the same actions over and over again. Another thing is, if your first move is from left to right, the logical next move would be from right to left. That's the quickest thing to do. So like, quick left to right like this. It's a very quick and efficient way to do it. In the same way you can do up to down. You always want to like do an opposite direction to your first move if possible. Sometimes you always have to select Marines in the same direction, like only from left to right. For example, if the Banelings are coming from the left side, you have to run to the right, so you can only do repetitive right moves. However, this isn't as efficient as alternating right to left. The same goes for when you're doing box splitting. You always want to try and get a box in the opposite direction to your first box. For example, if your first box is up and left, the next box should be down and right. It's like a constant movement, up to left, down right, up to left, down right. Then you can do down left, up right, down left, up right. We're trying to get this fluid movement. Try not to issue the same command to Marines twice. For example, if you have these Marines and you move them to the right, don't again select those Marines and move them to the right, because it's a wasted command. For example, stuff like this. You're doing a lot of commands, but they're not very efficient because you keep moving them to the same place. You want each move to be moving a different set of Marines to a different place. And furthermore, don't move the same Marines to different places. You want one Marine to go to one place, not like... You don't want to like move the Marine somewhere and then move him somewhere else, like completely different. That would be a waste of time. This method to run away from Banelings is to grab a large section of the group and run them away from the Banelings, while you're microing a much smaller group closer to the Banelings. This buys you time, so you can like spend your time microing the small groups, while your big group is running away safely. This is how you do that. Once you microed your small group, you then select another small group off the big pack and take that small group instead. You just want to keep grabbing small groups off the big pack and microing them while the big pack stays far away from the banelings. Just remember, you want the bulk of your marines to be running away while you're microing small marines, because if you try and micro them all at the same time, they're eventually all gonna die. You need to like buy yourself extra time by running away. Once you get comfortable with all the techniques of splitting, you eventually want to be able to split marines instinctively. It's impossible to think so fast that you're thinking of every individual move you're doing. The trick is to be able to move faster than you can think. Another way to help you do this is try not to focus on individual marines. Instead, try and look at all the marines as a whole. Another tip you can use is actually look away from your screen slightly. For example, look like slightly above your monitor, so you're not actually looking at the individual marines. And what you'll see is just like a blur of marines on your screen, and you can like click away at them. I find that helps to like regain focus slightly. Obviously, to get that instinct, you need to practice a lot, and just remember that good splitting is a combination of several different techniques. And if you try and focus too hard on one technique, then you won't be able to split that well. So if you're struggling, just go back, start focusing on individual like techniques such as line splitting, like focus your up and down, left and rights. And once you're comfortable with that, you can start combining different techniques like line and box splitting, running away with one group while microing the other group, etc. You may be wondering, why should I put in the effort to get good at marine splitting, when in a real game you can't really apply these techniques? Well, in fact, you'll find that these techniques do actually improve your gameplay in a real game as well. Because basically, although pro games don't usually feature perfect marine splitting, you'll find that if you do practice enough to be able to do great marine splitting in practice, that once you get into a real game, you'll feel much more confident in doing the simple splits to like a consistent level than if you hadn't practiced them at all. Like, for example, in pro games, you won't normally see amazing marine splits. They'll just be something like this, really. Like, these pros won't put too much of their time into splitting their marines because they'll know that the time wasted splitting is time wasted that you could spend macroing as well. So you only really see intense marine splits in smaller unit trades, like up to about 20 or 30 marines. Unless of course you're Marine King Prime and just want to micro the hell out of everything. The other thing that you can improve by practicing this is your general mouse speed and accuracy. You'll get much more accurate at clicking individual units around the map, and also like just selecting things and moving them quicker. And also it's a good brain training tool because like it helps your mind work faster and like to do moves instinctively rather than like focusing too hard on every individual move that you do. So I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.